Hi, my name is not Lance Armstrong and I didn't win the Tour de France 3 times. Hey, I didn't write the script. Actually, my name is Tony Cousins and I'm the owner and manager of Bikeworks in Gainesville, Florida. And I'd like to give you an introduction into the use of CO2 inflators. There are 3 different types of inflator. This is probably the most common. This is the twist style. Also very popular is the trigger version, and then probably the most unusual is the push-on style inflator. And they all work with CO2 cartridges. Nearly all of them will work with a threaded cartridge. It has a thread here. A few of them, primarily this style, will work with a non-threaded. But this one will actually work with both. So out of personal preference, I always use this with a threaded cartridge. So the next thing to do is to show you how these work. This is probably the simplest and easiest to control, which is the trigger version. The nice thing is the CO2 cylinder stays within the handle until you're ready to use it. And when you're ready, you take it out, turn it round, screw the CO2 in, and then you'll feel a little resistance, and when you reach that point it's going to take a firm twist and it's actually going to puncture the CO2, and you heard a little bit of CO2 escaping. Another nice feature with this, when you dispense the CO2 from these, this gets really cold, and if you've got sweaty hands, sweaty gloves, it can actually freeze to your hands. So a nice feature with this is you can put this back over and it gives you something to hold. So to inflate, obviously undo the valve, and then you just take the CO2, push it on, and just use the trigger. And we've inflated. So the next version we're going to use is the twist. Once again, take the CO2, screw it in. You'll feel a little bit of resistance and it's about to puncture. Push it on firmly. So to use this one, put it onto the valve, and to release the CO2, you just unscrew it, 1/4 of a turn. That lets the gas out. Tighten it up, 1/4 of a turn, and it turns the gas off. So very simple, very controllable, much smaller than this one. Okay, so the last version, and probably the least common, is the push type. Once again, take your CO2 cylinder, screw it in. You feel a little resistance. Screw it in all the way. Now with this one, to release the CO2, it's just a push and release. So push, it inflates, pull it off, and it stops. So as well as having the threaded and the non-threaded CO2s, and a 16 ounce allowing for a little bit of wastage is probably going to give you 110 psi in a normal road tire. They also do a 20 ounce. There's a smaller version of 12 ounce, which not many people stock, but is available. And they do some bigger, some 40 ounce as well. If you're using a mountain bike tire, some of the bigger 29-inch, 2.1, 2.25, etc. tires, you may need to use a couple of these or one of the bigger CO2s. Personally, I always carry 2 CO2s in my bag, and I'm a firm believer in having redundancy, so I actually have a pump as well. CO2s are really fast. They inflate the tire very quickly, so if you're in a group ride and everybody's waiting, CO2 is the way to go. But a pump, it's a lot slower. If it's hot and sticky and nasty outside, it's hard work, but it will work all day long.